Let's zoom back and talk about the oral microbiome as a whole. What are the things we're doing that's having a negative impact? And then other things we can do to build that back up.
So much. Most of the things that we're doing are damaging the oral microbiome. And I think you even see it when I came back to America. It seemed like every advertisement was not for pharmaceuticals. I mean, it still is, but for anything for breath. So like humans are just stinky right now, and we shouldn't be stinky. So the oral microbiome mouthwash ruins it. It also ruins your ability to make nitric oxide, which is rather important for most health conditions and just life in general. Most of the toothpaste that's used is pretty damaging. Floss is typically made from plastic. The floss I buy is from silk. It's a traditional silk floss, so you can get natural ones. And I promise, as hoity-toity as that sounds, it's not expensive. And the And, in traditional societies, it would be more like they would suck on cloves instead of all this gum and mints and things like that. So, if one is going to use something like a gum or a mint, I would use a xylitol-based one for sure. And ideally from birch trees, not from corn. That would be the most ideal. And then I would look at why we're using it. Are we using it because we have a dry mouth? If we have a dry mouth, that indicates that our sympathetic nervous system is dominant. So that's a time to do way more exhales than inhales, right? So we can start practicing in the car, inhaling for 2, exhaling for 10, right? Different practices to activate the parasympathetic nervous system so we get saliva, because this is how we digest. You can also just breathe through the left nostril. I like dancing. You can dance as well. And then if it's more for the smell, you want to look at the microbiome from here on up. And you can certainly just go and get some of the oral probiotics from Amazon or wherever you want to buy them from. There's quite a few brands that sell them. Salivarius, K12, and 18, those are really important ones. And then nasal, it's more El Sakai, but there's a whole host of them there. So those can be very good. Oil pulling is great. And if you have more gum type issues, you can use things like ozone oil. Like if you have an infection or you have ozone oil is very good for that. So we have lots of options for that. But I'd say in the past, antimicrobial was the way people went, and we're paying the price for that now. So I would go less antimicrobial and more probiotic and nourishing.
Let's pivot over to the skin now. Same question. What are we doing there to destroy the microbiome? And then what are some of the practices you use on a regular basis to maintain and build that?
So most of the things that we're doing against the skin microbiome is overwashing, using antimicrobial soaps or perfumed soaps, using polyesters, most of the gym clothes, like the really expensive fancy gym clothes is kind of the worst. And not getting enough sun. So those would be the main things. And then further, putting anything on the skin that's not edible. So on my skin, I just use edible oils. So it might be tallow or almond oil or what have you. It depends where I am. And you can use my favorite thing for the skin is a shower filter. It's called the Sprite shower filter. It's about $30. I've used it for about 20 years. It's amazing. It's really good. It takes away most issues, which is pretty good. You can also get salt bars. So let's say you have a skin condition like tinea versicolor. There's a number of ways to go about that, but you get those Himalayan salt bars for like exfoliation and a little bit of antimicrobial that's not going to damage the good microbes, right? Bar soap, you can use a whole fat, so you can use the olive oil or the tallow. And then there are some companies that are making some probiotic skin things, and you can certainly make your own as well. So that can be done too.
Lights came up a couple times. Let's talk about in a practical sense what that looks like for the microbiome on the skin and in general.
It's so imperative. It sounds too simple and too free and all of that, but getting out before sunrise, about half an hour before sunrise, makes a massive difference on your health, and then staying for a following hour. It is imperative for our circadian rhythm. which again is, over a quarter of our population is taking anti-anxiety, antidepressant. If you throw in sleep medications on top of that, the percentage goes through the roof. And in order to get the sleep hormones and the feel-good hormones, you need to get light in your eyes and on your skin, right? In the morning, we should be producing our cortisol to pop us out of bed, and our serotonin and our dopamine. And this is when we want cortisol, right? And those should trigger melatonin at night. But all of that requires being outside, no matter the weather. So that part is rather important. It also does shift the microbiome. So the microbiome of the skin shifts. Like when I go to tribes, if I get to a region that has been colonized and so they're wearing donated t-shirts, they get skin fungus and things from the polyester. Whereas when I go into deeper regions where there aren't any t-shirts, there's none of that. So the fabric and the light are both very important.
How do you feel about this trend in our world, vitamin D supplementation, as being part of a baseline package that most quote unquote experts would agree is essential? Tie that into the light and how you look at the difference there.
We really want to make our vitamin D. We really want to make it. Now, you do need some microbes to make it. So I think this is why we have some of the problems we have. But it's a hormone. And while we can take hormones, it is best if we make them on our own. Our tinkering has gotten us into a lot of trouble. So that means eating quite a bit of cholesterol and then getting into the sun and then having the right microbes as well. But the first two you can definitely do. Taking vitamin D on its own short term could be safe, but long term is problematic because it depletes the animal form of vitamin A. And with this huge trend around the world to eat less animal products and eat more vegetable, plant food, we already have vitamin A deficiencies widespread, and the animal form again. And this isn't a common form in supplements, and it needs to be at the correct ratio with K2. You find this in like the spring and the fall butter. You find this in whole foods. But if you take high levels of vitamin D, it drives down your vitamin A. And that sets the stage for cancer.
If you enjoyed that clip, you're going to want to head over here and catch the full episode. I'll see you over there.
We're all born with about 200 very important microbes, and they're starting to go endangered. Now we're lucky to get a handful. We're missing a lot of them. And I think as soon as the public starts to learn about how important these are, there's going to be a massive race.